Welcome back to Fantasy Football League back in action. It's the name of the league. We are down to 4 teams now. Last week's results are as followed. Pete will lose, defeated Raiders Suck Dick 96-79, and It's Inevitable defeated Kobe the Crusher 101-98. Now Verano kind of snuck it out in the last game of the week, which is the Monday night game, where the Giants defeated the Redskins. Jason Campbell and Fred Davis did enough for Verano to advance, and also Russell held off Kobe. Kobe had a guy going in the Sunday night game, Jonathan Stewart. Surprisingly, he did well. No one really probably would have thought of that except for Bobby Light. But anyway, Russell held off Kobe by a couple points there. So we're down to 4 teams. The top 4 teams are in the playoffs, which is what you want to see. I will be facing off with Verano. Russell will play the number 2 seed Matt Hinks. Hinks is coming off a bye. His players are feeling pretty good about themselves. As for my team, my guys are feeling pretty solid. I talked to Phil on Wednesday. He's feeling good. He's upset that he's playing on Christmas, but he says he's going to do everything he can in order for me to advance, which I like that. We will have the wonderful Nick Falco on the show later. He'll be giving his insight, as always. He was 1-1 last week. It's not that good. But you know what? He still is he still knows his stuff, and he advanced in the money league. You gotta love that. I love that kid. All right. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the show, and more will come.
When the levee breaks, have no place to stay. Money off the ground. Yeah, all hail Mr. Lyrical. Spades of the opus, baby. What you got a feeling for? I can show you new things.
We're here with Nick Falco breaking down the semifinals matchup. The first one is going to be Ross against Hinks.
Alright, we have It's Inevitable versus the Lightning Bug here. For the quarterbacks first, we have Breeze against Tampa Bay. Week 2 there for Tampa Bay. Did play well last week, but that was the Seahawks. Breeze should have a nice game, bounce back game after last week. Roethlisberger against Baltimore. Baltimore, everybody knows for their defense. Their defense isn't that good this year, and their secondary is very banged up. Fabian Washington going down. I like Roethlisberger always plays good against Baltimore. Kind of even there. Breeze has the edge. Colston, Fitzgerald. Colston should get his usually 80 yards. Maybe he'll get a touchdown. Fitzgerald, a lot of catches. May not get in the end zone, but he should have a lot of yards. Especially they may be resting their players. So I like Colston in there. Marshall against Philly. Philly's corners are very, very weak in man-to-man coverage, and Deshaun Jackson's going to have a tough time against Denver, who has a good defense, so I definitely like the advantage there for Brandon Marshall. Anquan Boldin and Devery Henderson. Devery Henderson could be a sleeper pick this week. He's a speed demon. He could really burn that secondary for at least 1 touchdown, but it is Anquan Boldin, and he's obviously the better player. I like Boldin there. The running backs, Frank Gore probably will have a great game against Detroit, but as far as Hinks starting Beanie Wells, I don't like that at all. It is the Rams, but let's not forget that the Cardinals are not a run-first team. Adai, that's another play I really don't like as well either against the Jets. Adai, 3 points, and Beanie Wells, 5 points. That's how I think about that. Gonzalez and Gates cancel each other out. Garrett Hartley, the new kicker for the Saints, against Nate Kading, the best kicker in the league. And then we have Indianapolis against San Francisco. Indianapolis has got a good defense, and San Francisco is playing Detroit. It's going to come down to the wire. I would not be surprised if the Lightning Bug won, but I'm going to take It's Inevitable here simply because even though Hinks has got Wells and Henderson, that's going to kill them, even though they may have big games. So I like It's Inevitable by 3 points.
All right, so Falco picks Russell in the
The price that you pay for things that you might have done. Only the good die young. You're hell-proof. I woke up in the world and cut the lights off, and confidence is a stain they can't wipe off.
And the next matchup is a big matchup. We have Roth against Verano. Break it down for us.
Yeah, we have Drake, Thank Me Later versus Pete Will Lose. Quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers, Vince Young. Vince Young's very, very tough at home. He will go for 200 yards and a touchdown. Rivers probably better than that. So I like Rivers because of the way he's playing to beat that. Vincent Jackson, one of the premier and upcoming receivers in the league versus Randy Moss. Randy Moss should turn it on against a weak Jacksonville secondary, who's played okay, but they're still not that great. Reggie Wayne going up against Darrelle Revis, which is, let's face it, almost impossible at this point, and Greg Jennings against Seattle. It's an easy one right there. Greg Jennings is going to go off on that Seattle secondary. I mean, if you've been seeing the way they let Josh Freeman, pass all over them, just imagine what Rodgers and Jennings are going to do. And we have Calvin Johnson against the 49ers and Sidney Rice. Here's where it gets interesting, because Verano traded Tony Romo and Miles Austin away for Sidney Rice and Vince Young. That could come back to hurt him against the best team in the league right here. So easily Calvin Johnson over Sidney Rice, especially what happened with Brett Favre and Brad Childress last week. Then we have D'Angelo Williams and Big Brandon Jacobs versus Ricky Williams and Chris Johnson. I give the edge here to Pete will lose, simply because Chris Johnson's running the best, and Ricky Williams is running pretty good. Jacobs, I like Jacobs for a touchdown here, not too many yards, and Williams going up against a fired and new and upcoming rising Giants defense who finally turned it on last week, so that's going to be tough. Fred Davis against Dallas. If he keeps that in, Dallas does have problems with tight end with the linebackers, and John Carlson versus Green Bay, who also has problems with the tight end, so that could even out there. Stephen Gutowski and David Akers. I like Akers. Denver doesn't give up a lot of touchdowns, can kick a lot of field goals. And Dallas' defense against Washington should have a good game. Look what the Giants were able to do with Washington and Philly and Denver. Denver's not going to score a lot of points. Overall, here, the better team should win. So I'm going to take Drake Thank Me Later by 15 points in this one. And we're going to have a Drake Thank Me Later versus It's Inevitable final.
All right, thanks.